But it felt like a really fucking awkward lane. Like I felt like it was hard for me to help out CK.
This one is in the
Okay. So it was hard for you to help CK. And okay, so we want to look at like how can we help CK more? How could we have won this lane?
Yeah, or is even that the thing that I need to be thinking about? Like, or is it the dynamics just between the picks or how people are playing? You know, I need to be thinking of it in a different way. I just was really confused about what the fuck to do in this lane because it just felt like I wasn't doing a ton of shit and they were able to kind of kick him out of lane really easily whenever they wanted.
Okay. Well, CM Sven is a strong lane. So, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
It is a very strong lane. CK Shadow Demon is decent. Decent lane. So we'll run it through and see if we can look for things we could do differently. This would be a great time to pull or stack. That's good interception there. Here, pull these creeps back. So you're staticking them here. So big thing you can do whenever you cut the creeps, right? The purpose of doing that is that you get to say where the creeps meet your creeps.
Yeah.
It's not just, I want the creeps to be attacking me. It's like, where do I want these creeps to be? Because I get to pick. I can pull them over here if I want to. You know what I mean? Like if I want to spend enough time. So this is where you can pull them over here. Yeah, because you did that, it just goes right back to where it was. I need to minimize the amount of pausing, I forgot about that. Speed up a bit.
The prize is mine. Dire's turret has been killed. Dire's turret has been killed.
Shadow Demon is a very weird laner, by the way.
Yeah.
He doesn't operate like other supports, so his attack range is crap. He needs to spend a lot of mana to do anything. His right clicks are decent. They're not great. He doesn't have like a ton of armor or a ton of right click damage. Like his strength is sort of harassing someone down with shadow poisoning and then going like all in and killing them, kind of. He's very weird. He doesn't operate like a CM or like a Skywrath where it's just kind of gradual harass until you're too low to walk up. He kind of does like a 1-2 punch on you.
Yeah.
So that makes things weird. But yeah,
the good thing about him is he feels like, especially like in this MMR where it feels like people don't really think about their positioning or shit like that. He feels very punishing, especially when you hit 6, because if they walk up to you and they realize, oh shit, I can't kill him, I need to walk back. You hit that ult on him, and now he's fucking taking forever to get there. His health is halved, and if you have a teammate with you, you know, he's basically dead.
Sure, yeah. He gets stronger in the mid game for sure. I think Shadow Demon is a much better like mid game, maybe late game support. I don't think he's super strong early, and I think his lane phase is weird in the way like Coddle's lane phase is weird. Where it's I can't harass you without pushing the lane.
Right.
So that makes the camps, once again, the camps become more important. So like, remember that question back to like who pushes the lane more naturally? You've got CM, if she's using Q a lot, she'll do it. Sven, if he specs cleave or uses his spells, he'll do it. CK doesn't do it at all, and then you can like really just like nuke a wave Like if you choose to Shadow Poison, you just nuke the wave down instantly. So
Right.
in general, they should be pushing into you, but you should have the power to just push the lane right back. But we've also missed a ton of opportunities to stack and pull.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep running it. How much you can do about that one?
Yeah, I think this is where the tilt starts setting the whole team.
Okay, well, this is 10 minutes. So, all right, takeaways from this lane. Once again, not using the camps at all.
Yeah.
You absolutely can just start wand or stick in this lane because CM will spam a lot of spells.
Yeah.
So this is a stick lane. The lane was static in front of their tower for pretty much the entire time, which makes it kind of hard, right? Because they are a kill lane, so you really want the lane to be up here. Let's see. I think you're not using disruption to super good effect. I mean, that was just CK misclicking, but most of the times you've used disruption, Sven just kind of walks away.
Yeah.
So this spell is really weird. I would say there's basically 3 ways to use disruption. So the first is the easy one. Use it as a save, right? Just banish a teammate. Like, your teammate gets chrono, banish, right? Or banish the void or whatever. The second one is a setup to allow your teammates to land their skill shots or to get in range. So if you have a Mirana on your team, or I don't know, whatever, like a Pudge Hook or an Underlord root, like you stun them when they're out of position and then they walk up and they stun them too. Like that's the other way to use it. The other way to use it is actually to just harass the shit out of someone with their own illusions.
Right.
And if that's the route you're going to be going, you want to actually level this up so the illusion damage goes up. And you want to be using it on CM more, because CM has lower armor and she's ranged, so her illusions are going to be a little bit more helpful. Versus the Sven just kind of walks away, and then the illusions don't do anything to him. So basically, there were like a few places here where, like, if you just disrupt the CM and harass her like that, that can be decent. Or you don't use it at all, and you wait for them to use a round of their spells to save the CK. Is the other way to use it. So, the other thing, and the reason I think that route might be more useful for multiple reasons. First off, CK is a farming hero. He really can't be a good at position 3 until he gets like a decent amount of levels and he has like a blink or something like that, right? So this is going to be, your goal here is to farm and get the CK as much as possible, not necessarily like go for kills. You can, but it's like, I mean, CK can definitely kill people, but your hero functions really weirdly in that the only way you're going to get kills is if you all in on someone. And so you have to know that CK is going to follow up on what you're doing. So I don't think Shadow Demon's a very good pub hero. So I suppose my advice from this one would be don't play Shadow Demon in pubs. just don't play him in pubs because he's very strange.
Yeah, especially like disruption feels like like in terms of pubs, it feels like a slightly more I don't want to say effective as in Nightmare isn't effective, but it feels like a slightly more effective Nightmare for pubs because you get the illusions too. Whereas if you Nightmare on somebody and people don't really understand it or whatever, somebody might just fucking walk away,
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of it's like a pause button, and your team needs to like do something with that. It's strange.
Yeah, it does feel really similar to Nightmare in the sense it's like a lot of its utility comes from setup. Like, I just disrupted this guy, fucking Mirana, shoot your arrow, or
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at the rest of the things besides just the lane here?
Yeah, we can. Let's watch the world burn.
Okay. So to this here, obviously you need to be with the CK. Like if you just disrupt one of them there, that would stop that kill from happening.
The prize is mine.
Yeah, okay, so summary of the lane phase. Start with stick. You gotta know how Shadow Demon's mana works and bring like a lot of regen if you're planning to actually go for kills. Utilize these pulls and get the creep equilibrium to a better spot because CN Sven is a kill lane and CK needs to be farming safely. So those, I think those are three things. The biggest one I would say probably here is the easiest way you could have won this lane would just be creep equilibrium. Just using pulls to keep it right here. When you did the drag, pull it over here. Don't let her pull, which you're already kind of on top of that mostly. It's just utilizing your own pulls is the thing you need to get going. That's pretty much it for this one. And then we can look at like the rest of the game. Were there specific points in the game that you were confused on, or just generally like what should I be doing or what?
It was kind of like what's the best way to react in this situation? I think you'll see what I mean.
Okay. What point in the game is that?
Well, it starts so after 10 minutes, you'll see at some point CK is just done with the lane. He's not going to return.
Right.
So after that, so basically, okay, to give you kind of the meta game, like what was happening after Zeus rotates on us, Pudge loses his mind. Okay. Because I guess TA maybe felt like I didn't see TA playing mid, but I'm guessing it wasn't going well for them, so they opted to jungle instead of being in the lane, and Pudge was not having that.
Okay, so I don't think these games are realistically winnable.
Yeah.
You guys lost all three lanes.
Yeah.
You lost all three lanes, and you need a CK and a TA to farm. And you have Lena carry. So you have 3 farming cores, and you lost all 3 lanes. So this one's just kind of like, the only way you're going to win this one is if it goes to 60 minutes and they fuck up on high ground.
Yeah.
Basically. Like, you just are slowly going to die in these games. So these ones suck. The only thing we can do differently in these games is make sure that we win our lane. That's basically it. It's like we win our lane, that gives us the ability to then do a rotation and help someone else win their lane.
Right.
And that's basically it. The only other thing you can do is just plan around this. So you have to recognize, like, at this point, like, okay, we lost top, our tower's dead. We lost bottom, our tower's dead. We're losing middle. Right? Once you see this, it's like, okay, where can I make stacks? Where do we need vision to protect our farming areas? And then how can I keep the enemy away from my cores as much as possible? So this game is going to be entirely looking for their wards, putting up defensive wards that they don't find, and feeding in side lanes to keep people away from your cores.
Yeah.
that's it. That's the whole match, and it sucks. So the best solution is don't get here in the first place, but you don't have often that's not under your control because you're not playing the other 2 lanes, right? So, but it would have been if we won this lane, I mean, just picture it, right? Like, if we did win this lane, now the CK can exert influence and, like, turn one of these other ones. Like, he can go hell mid, or he can be a big influence on the map or something like that. But, like, this guy's going Echo Saber. This guy doesn't have his boots yet at 14 minutes, and he's just rushing Desolator. Lena's gone Falcon Blade. Like, your team is in just full farming mode, and it's just going to be a slow death.
Yeah.
It happens.
That's how it
happens.
This is one of those games where I look back and I'm like, I can't believe this is 40 minutes of my life.
Yep, absolutely. But I will say also, because, like, if it's all about just the lanes getting lost, that's just gonna happen if you're playing heroes that you don't know super well, like Shadow Demon.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like you're like, I suck at Shadow Demon, and then there's no way you're gonna win your lane like that. So this is gonna happen all the time. This is why it's really important to pick a role that you're that really clicks with you, and then like pick like a really small pool of heroes and just spam them.
Yeah, for sure.
Super important. The only other thing you can do here is, remember we were talking about in the other video, looking for our outs. How do we win this game, right? And that's going to be through vision and smoke plays. So like, I love this ward down here. This ward really helps with this type of thing, because if you see anybody solo down here, you can try to organize a smoke play and go like get a pick off. Right?
Right.
This ward achieves that. This ward achieves that. Getting wards like maybe over here in the trees can help with that. Any ward that's like in the river that sees an entrance that's not easily dewarded can spot that. A ward right in the middle of the map can help with that. These kind of defensive wards that you would typically place are usually just going to get dewarded because your team is not strong enough to defend them.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, if you're in the instance of your team is strong enough to hold the triangle but nothing else, then you can go for those like cliff wards and just, your team sits on the wards. But if you're in this kind of situation where your team can't defend anything, you just have to use sneaky wards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too much to say about this one, really. Like, at this point, like, you can't do anything as a Shadow Demon. The best you can do is land a really sick disruption in the middle of the fight. Like,
yeah. Like, that was kind of my only hope, was like fucking Sven gets really like strong and I disrupt him and the illusions cleave his team or some shit.
It's stuff like that, like where the Sven overextends and then you capitalize on it and kill him. Right? That's good. That's pretty much it. I mean, I can't think of much else to say without just like reiterating all that stuff.
I think it just, I needed that pat on the back to know this was unwinnable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's an unwinnable game from the start.
Right, but after a certain point.
Yeah, after 10 minutes, once all the lanes are lost, like, you're probably just going to lose it. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't have ever won it.
Right, and not to say that there's not things I could have done better, or it's like, oh, well, these people played fucking horrible, so why, it doesn't matter what I did. Because I think that's the worst fucking mindset. Because that's essentially what the Pudge was. The Pudge just started bitching and complaining and, like, was so upset over TA not rotating, and it was like, dude, like, you are going to lose every fucking game that you play if that's what you focus on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the main thing. We always want to be thinking about like what we can do differently, and that should almost be like the only thing we're thinking about. I mean, sometimes you do need to look at it objectively and be like, okay, we lost all the lanes, and why did that happen? And is it because this player's stupid? And is it worth me trying to help him? Or is it because of some other, like, it's a bad matchup, but the player's fine? Like, maybe you can make an informed decision based on that information. But just like throwing your hands up and being like, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to do that, though. Like, for your own, like,
sanity.
Your own sanity. Like, this is what I was talking about. Like, this game, it falls into the 40% of the auto losses. And you need to just write it off. You need to just be like, fuck it, I lost this game. And then
absolutely.
Try to immediately just switch your brain off and mute everyone, and then like go practice stacking. Like just go do something, like whatever, like any little like glimmer of anything you can get out of the game is going to be more productive than actually trying to win it.
I think that's something I didn't think about, because I know I didn't think about that till now, but that's one of Shadow Demon's big strength is with the poison is stacking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if one or two of your lanes had won, you can totally like help these cores recover because of that. Because you can sit here and stack 3 camps at once or whatever, right? But yeah, like see, like wards like this, they're not gonna work.
Right.
Instantly get dewarded. So that's actually okay. How about this? that is your takeaway from today. Besides anything else in this game, when you're in this losing position and the enemy team controls the whole map, going for these cliff wards is a waste of time and a waste of a ward. Don't even bother.
Yeah, for sure.
These wards get to be owned by whoever is stronger, basically. Whoever can defend them. And the only way this ward stays up is if the enemy supports don't understand how wards work and aren't paying attention and don't look at you put a ward up here, because they're going to see it. So other wards you can do instead, like I was saying, like lane wards, good ones, like a ward around here, weird spots like this, where you're just trying to catch anybody who's alone. We don't care about seeing the whole team. We care about seeing where people are moving through. Like this one down here, you're not going to see all 5 people. This is not a team fight ward, right? This is a Wraith King solo, let's smoke kind of thing. That's the type of ward that is.
Right.
Okay. All right. Was that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking at this whole game?
Yeah, because it's still like, you know, like I said, it's still important to reflect on the things that happened that were in control of my game in the game for me that I didn't take advantage of. And I think in both games, like the biggest trend I noticed was that I'm playing these kind of like harassing type heroes, and like I'm standing away from the lane too much. Standing away from the lane, and I think I'm thinking like, oh, I need to be harassing at all times, and I'm foregoing my pulls.
Yeah, that it is hard to balance that. It's sort of like a. So I guess
I just need to be like at 40 seconds. Am I pulling or am I not?
Yeah. So what I would. Sometimes the pulls don't matter. They don't matter at all. And it's not that type of a lane, because it's going to be like you know, a very AFK farmy lane, or it's just going to be harassing back and forth, and you don't have time to go do it. You know, like sometimes the pull doesn't matter. But the biggest thing is with your pulls is just identifying, like, is this a lane in which like I'm gonna need to pull a lot, right? So like you know, it's type of thing where like in Immortal, they're going to be like, oh, CM Sven, kill lane. That means pull's important, because I don't want to be in front of their tower and give them 10 seconds of chasing me down back to my tower, right? Like they just immediately, boom, okay, this is important. For you, it can be simpler, and you can be like, okay, the last 4 waves have met right here. I should probably do a pull. It's like you didn't get it immediately, but you get to see how things are evolving and then be like, okay, I'm seeing the pattern and now I can go change the pattern. It's not like ideally you'd be predicting it ahead of time, but that takes a ton of experience to do that. Like here, I would be like, if I were you in this lane, I'd be like, okay, my CK is a really greedy pick. We have kill potential, but mainly our goal here is to just give this guy a decent lane, and the easiest way to do that is by pulling, and they're a kill lane anyway, so I want to be pulling a lot, which means this isn't allowed to exist, and I need to make sure this exists, and I need to pull it every time we have more creeps than they do, because that means they can't contest it, right? It's just like you realize all this stuff after you've played a bunch of times, but for you it can be as simple as like, okay, it's always here. I should probably pull now, right?
Yeah.
Like just to illustrate real quick, let's look at each wave. So that's 3 waves in a row. You froze it back here, so the 4th wave is here, 5th wave is here. Okay, this one is decent. Slowly pushes back. Okay, now it's back again. Now it's rubber banding a little bit. So it wasn't always in that position, but it's not like it sat here for the majority of the lane, right? That's the point.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. I think we're good on that one then. So summarize the main takeaways again for me, please. So I rambled a little bit here.
it would be figuring out if the lane is what type of lane it is in regards to pulls. If it's going to be a lane that pulling is really important, is going to be a lane where we're trying to control the equilibrium, or is it going to be a lane where pulls really don't matter, or if we do pull, it is going to end up with not the effect that we want. Don't put wards in high ground areas that are going to be highly contested if we're not strong enough to contest them.
Yeah, so that one, let me extrapolate on that one a little bit. Just don't put them in obvious places is really the lesson there. Don't put them in easy to find places, because the enemy team has more economy than you, and they can afford to waste 3 sentries to find 1 observer. You're behind, you can't do that as much. So it's mainly just when you're on the defensive, putting wards down that you are pretty sure are going to survive, even if they don't give you a ton of information, just as long as they're spotting something. Like just a ward right here, just to spot this camp. That's all it needs to see, because if it just sees 1 hero here and I see 3 heroes over here, we now potentially have a play we can make, right? That's all I got to see is 1 hero. So I hope that clarifies that.
For sure.
Okay, so thinking about pulls, not putting obvious wards. What else for the lane phase?
Trying to think how to word it, but I think positioning, if I'm playing a harassing hero, being more in the lane instead of being off to the side.
Yep. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And also, I'd say as the last thing, items.
Prioritizing something like stick against CM.
Yeah, I would think. So what I would start doing is buy a stick against any hero that has low cooldown or some kind of mana regen. So like Lion, CM, Coddle, anybody that can just regen their own mana easily and has low cooldown spells that are going to harass you a lot, buy a stick. And if you have a hero like that in your lane, like a PA or a Bristleback or a Zeus or whatever, just go ahead and buy a stick anyway, because they're probably going to buy one as well, and they're going to use their spells, and you get more charges.
Yeah.
Or what you can do, just as a easy thing, is just literally buy a stick in every lane, and then you'll figure out which ones it's good and bad in.
Right.
Just show up the lane with a stick, just regardless. Even if it's the worst stick lane ever, it's like Pudge.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be terrible. Pudge and Wraith King.
Yeah,
it's probably the worst stick lane I can think of. But like, just buy it every time, right?
Yeah.
See how it feels.
For sure.
And not just the stick, but also like think about Ring of Basilius on these heroes, Mangoes and Clarities often, and yeah, because that's what the hero does. The hero beats you on regen by out harassing you, but that means you need to actually have the follow up and be at high health once they're at low health. Otherwise, it doesn't achieve anything, right? Okay.
True.
Cool. So that's that one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and you found something useful in there. Don't forget, I have a Dota coaching playlist. I'll link at the end of the video. I stream every weekday on Twitch at Mr. Ip TV, and I hope to see you in the next one.